September. Midnight. The Black Sea lies silent, breathing only with the faint rhythm of waves against the hulls of distant patrol boats. On the horizon, faint red buoys blink lazily. But something else is moving. Shadows, low to the surface, slicing through the water at 40 knots. They don't roar. They whisper. This is not a fishing fleet, not a convoy. It is a swarm. Magura naval drones, Ukraine's newest ghost weapons, approaching from the blind spots of Russian coastal radars. Their operators, miles away, breathe shallow and speak in short bursts. One slip of the joystick, one glitch in the signal, and the entire mission collapses. In Sevastopol, searchlights sweep the fog without urgency. The crews think it's just another night. They don't know the sea has already turned against them. When the first operator arms the warhead, the Black Sea takes a breath and doesn't exhale. Every strike begins long before the explosion. What viewers imagine as sudden chaos, a boat splitting in two, fire on the water, is usually the final frame of a meticulously engineered operation. On this September night, Ukraine's naval drone operators have already spent days preparing. Weather forecasts showed the window. Low clouds, calm waves, a moon that would set early. Perfect conditions for a stealth incursion. Satellite images confirm the Russian patrol patterns. Raptor-class boats rotating between Fyolant and Balaklava. Their arcs predictable, their vigilance dulled by repetition. The Magura drones are not large. From above, they look like fast skiffs. But their advantage lies in design. A sharp, angular profile that minimizes radar returns. A dark hull blending with the sea. An electric motor that whispers instead of growls. Each carries a warhead heavy enough to rip open a patrol craft's hull like paper. But the real weapon is not explosives. It's numbers. Tonight, 9 drones form the strike package. 3 will act as decoys, probing the radar net, forcing Russian operators to waste their attention. 4 are hunters, assigned individual targets if the patrol boats show themselves. 2 remain as shepherds, backup, surveillance, and insurance against failure. Each has a unique course programmed to weave through the gaps in radar coverage. Operators sit in a dim room somewhere far from Crimea, screens glowing, hands steady on their controls. They monitor 3 feeds at once: the forward camera of each drone, the digital map with live GPS plotting, and a comms channel thick with static and clipped phrases. Magura 1, steady, course north-northeast. Magura 2, maintain separation, don't cross his wake. Magura 3, decoy active. The first group slips along the coastline, hugging shadows cast by headlands and cliffs. The second arcs wide, staying in open water but far enough to be mistaken for a fisherman straying too close. Russian radars sweep in predictable cycles, leaving blind spots where the drones slide like knives between ribs. By 0.43 hours, the strike group is within 20 kilometers of Fyolant. The operators tighten their grips. Every kilometer closer increases the risk of detection. If even one Russian radar operator glimpses an anomaly, the patrol boats will accelerate to intercept, and the drones will be chased with machine gun fire and flares. But the Russian crews have been doing this for months. Routine dulls the edge of fear. They don't expect the Black Sea itself to become a weapon. At EY-047, Magura 3 switches into decoy mode. It veers sharply, accelerating toward a known radar station line. Its wake flares white under moonlight, an intentional mistake. Onshore, a Russian operator marks it, calling in a possible contact. The nearest Raptor-class boat throttles up. It's working. The decoy lures them out. Meanwhile, the other drones slide closer, almost invisible, carrying their warheads toward an unsuspecting target. The battle has not begun yet, but in the silence of that midnight sea, the hunters are already inside the cage. The Russian Black Sea Fleet does not sleep, but it does drift. Patrol duty is monotony. Endless circles, the hum of engines, the same arcs drawn across the same water. The crews of the Raptor-class boats near Fyolant know every buoy, every shadow, every rock. What they don't know is that tonight, those shadows are alive. At 01:02 hours, the first Raptor appears in the Magura operators' cameras. A dark silhouette, its navigation lights faint and disciplined. The boat moves at 20 knots, bow carving a thin line of foam. A heavy machine gun sits mounted at the bow, crewmen shifting behind it in half-light. They are trained for smugglers, fishermen, or saboteurs, but not for what's coming. From the operator's perspective, the patrol boat looks both close and impossibly distant. On the screen, it's a grainy form, magnified by a low-light camera. Yet every detail matters. The angle of its wake, the rhythm of its course, the way its spotlight sweeps lazily across the water. Target and visual. Hold vectors. Magura 4, you're on lead intercept. Copy. Arming sequence green. The plan is simple. One drone distracts, another tracks, a third strikes. But the sea has its own will. At 20 knots, a patrol boat can change position in seconds. The drones, while fast, cannot afford waste. They have no armor, no second chances. Every maneuver must be precise, like threading a needle in the dark. At 01:05, the Raptor crew spots something. Not the main strike group, but the decoy. Magura 3 throws itself into their path, crossing their searchlight beam like a guilty shadow. The Russian gunner reacts instinctively, swinging his weapon and opening fire. Tracers tear across the night, bright arcs ricocheting from the surface. The sea itself seems to glow under the fury of gunfire. The drone's camera shakes as rounds splash meters away. Water blinds the lens, then clears. The operator holds steady, pushing throttle to maximum. The decoy races directly at the Raptor, its wake luminous in the crossfire. On the Russian side, panic is blooming. The gunner is shouting. The helmsman jerks the boat into a hard turn, engines roaring. To the crew, it looks like an attack craft closing in. Small, fast, and unstoppable. They don't know it's a sacrificial pawn. While their attention is fixed forward, Magura 4 and Magura 5 close in from the flanks. Their cameras show the patrol boat's profile, its stern exposed, crew distracted. The operators exchange clipped words. Magura 4 in strike arc, distance 600 meters. Magura 5 ready? Confirm? Confirm. Execute. Magura 4 accelerates. The water foams behind it, the camera shaking with speed. The Raptor is still busy with the decoy, firing madly, when the real threat approaches from the side. At 01:07, the drone's warhead detonates against the starboard hull. The explosion is thunder rolled across the water. A plume of fire and seawater erupts, blotting out the patrol boat in a shroud of smoke. When it clears, the Raptor is still afloat, but crippled. Its stern lists, engines choking, crew scrambling for control. The gun falls silent, drowned by chaos on deck. The decoy has done its job, but the strike is not over. Magura 5 arcs wider, circling behind the wounded patrol boat. Its operator keeps calm, watching the fire on deck, waiting for the right angle. Then, with a subtle push of the joystick, the drone locks its final course. The camera shows crewmen waving, firing, desperate to stop it. Too late. At 01:09, the second explosion rips through the Raptor's side. This time, the hull tears open, steel folding like paper. Flames lick across spilled fuel, black smoke rising. The patrol boat tilts, groaning, then surrenders to the sea. The operators sit in silence. No cheers, no triumph. Just steady breathing in the dim room, their eyes fixed on screens still flickering with fire. The first Russian casualty of the night has fallen, but the swarm is not finished. Deeper near Sevastopol, more targets wait. The destruction of a single patrol boat does not go unnoticed. In Sevastopol, alarms spread faster than fire. Radio chatter surges, scrambled voices overlapping. Contact lost, possible sabotage, deploy reinforcements. By 01:15 hours, Russian command has already ordered additional boats into the water. 2 more Raptor-class vessels surge out of the harbor, their engines howling as they slice through black waves toward Fiolant. Searchlights sweep across the sea like white swords. Somewhere above, a helicopter warms its rotors, preparing to lift. For the Ukrainian operators, this is both expected and dangerous. The first strike was never meant to end the battle. It was bait. The real challenge begins now. Magura 6, adjust bearing 210, lead them south. Magura 7, shadow the harbor exit. Magura 8 and 9, maintain flank. The swarm shifts its posture like a living organism. The drones that struck first retreat into the darkness, slipping away from the smoking wreck of the Raptor. Others reposition, their small wakes blending into the natural texture of the sea. The operators know the Russians will be on edge now, their fingers tighter on triggers, their eyes sharper. But they also know something else. Panic breeds mistakes. At 0121, the new Raptors arrive on scene. Their crews are already firing, short bursts into the water, tracers stitching the waves. To them, the sea is suddenly filled with phantoms. Every shadow is a threat, every splash an attack. The first drone they spot, Magura 6, accelerates deliberately, drawing their attention. Bullets chase it, red streaks ripping the night. But Magura 6 is not alone. While it draws fire, Magura 7 arcs quietly along the Russian boat's blind side. Its camera shows the gleam of steel hulls, searchlights sweeping in the opposite direction. The operator breathes steady, fingers light on the controls. Distance closes, 800 meters, 600, 400. The boat looms larger on the screen, a predator unaware it is prey. At 0124, Magura 7 strikes. The explosion slams into the lead Raptor, tearing open its bow. The blast lifts water high, drowning the searchlight in a spray of black foam. The boat stumbles, momentum broken, crew thrown off their feet. Shouts fill the comms. Another patrol unit is crippled. But victory is not without cost. As Magura 7 disappears in flame, Russian gunners swivel and unleash fury. Tracers crisscross the water, some finding their mark. Magura 8's feed shakes violently, then cuts to black. One drone is gone, shredded by concentrated fire. The operators don't flinch. They expected losses. The swarm is designed for it. Magura 9 circles wide, out of the line of fire. Its operator seizes the window. The second Raptor is turning broadside, distracted by smoke and chaos. With calm precision, the drone accelerates. The Russian gunner spots it too late. His bursts of fire scatter wide as the drone slams into the midsection. The second explosion rips steel apart, sending fragments across the deck. Now the sea burns with two wrecks. Flames spread across fuel slicks, black smoke rising like a signal to the sky. At 0127, the helicopter finally lifts, blades chopping the night. Its searchlight pierces the chaos, sweeping arcs of white across the waves. For the operators, this is the worst development yet. An eye in the sky can undo everything. Thermal sensors can spot drones where radar fails. But the Maguras still have cards to play. Some drones cut engines, drifting silently to confuse heat signatures. Others break formation, scattering like sparks in a storm. The Russians believe they are pushing the attackers back, but in reality, they are being herded. The swarm is guiding them, luring them into a corridor where escape will be impossible. The battle for Sevastopol has only just begun. By 0130 hours, the Black Sea is awake. Searchlights slash across the water, flames from burning wreckage paint the horizon, and the thumping of rotor blades echoes over Fiolant. For Russian defenders, the scene is chaos. Fire on the sea, confusion on comms, crews shouting over gunfire. For Ukrainian operators, it is calculation. The swarm has already bloodied its prey, but now the danger sharpens. The Russians are not blind anymore. A helicopter hovers at 300 meters, its thermal camera sweeping for anomalies. On shore, coastal guns adjust their arcs, anticipating further incursions. If the Maguras remain in this kill zone, they will be picked apart. Magura 4, fuel low. Magura 9, engine stable. Course north confirmed. Operators listen up. Extraction phase. Herd them south. Create the gap. The mission has shifted. The hunters must now become ghosts again. The key is deception. Not every drone will return. Some must die so the rest can vanish. Magura 5 takes the first roll. Its operator sends it screaming straight toward the helicopter's spotlight, throttling to maximum. On screen, the rotorcraft looms larger, its gunner opening fire. Tracers shred the sea, some slamming into the drone, others sparking against the waves. Then, at 0133, Magura 5 detonates prematurely, not at a boat, but in open water beneath the chopper's light. The blast is not lethal to the helicopter, but it blinds it. A column of fire, water, and smoke surges upward, obscuring its sensors. The helicopter veers, its searchlight losing the swarm. In that brief window, other drones reposition. Meanwhile, Magura 6 and Magura 9 play their part as decoys. They run fast and loud, cutting wakes that Russian guns follow like hounds. One arcs close to shore, tempting coastal batteries to waste shells. The other keeps distance, circling in broad loops to imitate a larger force. Both are doomed. By 0136, Magura 6's feed cuts to static under heavy gunfire. Magura 9, too, vanishes in a storm of tracers. Their sacrifice buys minutes, precious minutes. In the dim control room, operators focus on the remaining survivors. Two drones, Magura 1 and Magura 2, drift silent, engines cut, carried by the tide. Their profiles nearly invisible to radar, their heat signatures masked by cool night water. Slowly, they edge toward the southern exit corridor, a gap between patrol arcs, a shadow in the surveillance net. But danger is not gone. The helicopter regains its vision, circling wider, searching with thermal optics. For a moment, its spotlight grazes the water, passing within hundreds of meters of the drifting drones. Operators hold their breath. Fingers hover above kill switches, ready to self-destruct if discovery is certain. But the light moves on. The Maguras are not found. At 0140, the Russian defenders believe the threat is suppressed. They count burning wrecks, watch two patrol boats sink, and convince themselves the attack is broken. They do not realize that fragments of the swarm are already slipping free. Magura 1 restarts its motor, a faint whine masked by the roar of surf on cliffs. Its operator gently pushes the throttle, keeping speed under 10 knots, fast enough to glide, slow enough to remain hidden. Magura 2 follows minutes later. Both navigate carefully through shoals and rocky shallows, guided by preloaded maps and operator corrections. The sea itself becomes their shield. Rising mist and drifting smoke from the wrecks cloak their escape route. Russian gunners keep firing sporadically, convinced shadows are still moving near Fiolant. They are, but not where they think. By 0147, the surviving drones are outside the kill zone. Radio chatter from Sevastopol is confused, contradictory. Reports of multiple attackers, conflicting bearings, exaggerated numbers. In truth, only 2 Maguras remain, gliding back into darkness. The operators don't celebrate. The cost has been high. 5 drones lost, 2 deliberately sacrificed, 1 cut down in flames. But the mission was never about survival. It was about proof. Proof that even the guarded heart of Sevastopol is vulnerable. And as the screens dim, operators lean back in silence. The swarm is gone. The fire still burns behind them. By dawn, the Black Sea looks deceptively calm. The smoke has thinned, drifting east on a pale wind. Oil slicks stretch across the water, shimmering under the first light. The wreckage of patrol boats still smolders, their twisted hulls half submerged, sending out faint pops as fire meets cold seawater. To casual eyes, it might look like another naval accident, but the crews who survived know better. For Ukraine, the raid is more than a strike. It is a message, a demonstration that the Magura drone fleet is not a concept, but a weapon of consequence. 9 unmanned craft, piloted from miles away, penetrated one of the most guarded zones in the Black Sea. 2 patrol boats are gone. Others limp back to port with damage that will take weeks to repair. Russian crews are shaken, their confidence eroded. Yet in warfare, every action births a counteraction, and this raid will not go unanswered. From the Ukrainian perspective, the night proves the validity of the swarm doctrine. One drone is fragile, a vulnerable skiff, but together they become a storm. By dividing roles, decoy, striker, shepherd, the Maguras overwhelmed Russian defenses. Every patrol boat has limits. Only one spotlight, only one primary gun, only so many crew to watch the waves. When forced to engage in multiple directions, their discipline fractures. The swarm also exploited Russia's greatest weakness: routine. Patrols accustomed to uneventful nights were caught off guard. Radar operators dismissed anomalies. gun crews underestimated small silhouettes, and commanders assumed the sea itself was passive. In reality, the sea carried hunters beneath their gaze. But victories are never clean. 5 Maguras did not return. Some were shredded by gunfire, others deliberately sacrificed to draw away reinforcements or blind sensors. The operators, silent in their dim control room, knew these losses were inevitable. Unlike human crews, drones do not bleed, yet they are not free. Each destroyed Magura is time, resources, and technology lost. A reminder that even a successful strike drains the arsenal. There is also the human cost on the other side. Russian sailors fought, panicked, and some died in fire and water. Their comrades will carry the memory of sudden explosions in the night, the horror of being hunted by machines with no faces. Fear will spread through their ranks, but so will anger. For Russia, the lesson is immediate. Harbors like Sevastopol cannot rely solely on patrols and coastal guns. Defense must layer deeper, nets across harbor mouths, dedicated anti-drone radar, rapid response helicopters on constant alert. They will adapt, as all militaries do. The next raid will not face the same blind spots. But adaptation cuts both ways. Ukraine has seen proof that even reinforced defenses can be breached with coordination and persistence. Operators will refine their tactics, test new decoy systems, link drones in tighter digital swarms. Where one slips through, 10 can follow. Beyond the tactical duel, the raid speaks to a larger transformation in naval warfare. For centuries, the sea was dominated by steel hulls and human crews. Now, it is shaped by algorithms, remote pilots, and unmanned craft the size of speedboats. A handful of operators, far from the battlefield, can alter the balance of power in contested waters. Sevastopol, once considered untouchable, has felt that shift firsthand. And the world is watching. Admiralties from Washington to Beijing study the footage, running their own simulations, asking the same questions. How do you defend against a weapon that arrives in swarms from nowhere, with no crew to kill? By sunrise, the Magura operators have powered down their screens. Their mission logs are archived, their drones either lost at sea or on slow return journeys. The raid is over, but the war it represents, the war of adaptation, innovation, and survival, has only deepened. This was not a random strike. It was a rehearsal for a new kind of naval warfare. And now the question falls to you, the viewer. If a swarm of 9 drones can cripple patrol boats in one night, what happens when the next wave numbers 50 or 100? Will the age of warships end not with missiles, but with machines no larger than a car, swarming like insects over the sea? Tell us in the comments, is the swarm the future of naval warfare?